Ashes of the impossible. The battle for Scorvax Prime was supposed to be a footnote in the history of the galactic concord. A minor resistance effort by a dying race. Easy cleanup. Instead, it became legend. The HFY Empire had swept across the quadrant like a plague, world after world falling to their brutal precision and terrifying biotechnology. Scorvax Prime was next. A minor Terran outpost with barely 10,000 humans stationed there. No planetary defenses worth mentioning. Not even a proper fleet. Admiral Ghalix of the HFY entered orbit expecting surrender. Instead, he found himself staring down a message, simple, defiant, human. Come and get it. The humans had no right to resist. By the numbers, it was absurd. 1 carrier. 4 frigates. 100,000 HFY soldiers bred for war. Scorvax's defenders. A single Terran Ranger detachment, a scattering of scientists, and a half-built orbital platform named Hope. Hope? Laughable? Except when the HFY dropped their first wave, it didn't come back. No, scratch that, it came back screaming. Shattered. Burned. Torn apart by what the survivors whispered were ghosts. Shadows that walked through walls. Weapons that weren't weapons. Traps that weren't traps, just things. Improvised horrors. In the HFY lexicon, a new term was added that day. The Red Fog. Captain Mara Keller knew she was outnumbered. She also knew humans had always been outnumbered. That hadn't stopped them before. She stood on the jagged cliffs of Bastion Ridge, wind whipping her dust-caked hair as the low roar of incoming drop ships echoed through the clouds. Her exosuit flickered warnings, ammo low, systems overclocked. Beside her stood the remnants of Ranger Unit 47, 9 soldiers, 2 engineers, and 1 mad bastard named Thompson who would turn mining laser into a railgun using duct tape and what appeared to be chewing gum. Mara grinned. You know the drill, she said, voice amplified across the comms. We are ghosts. We are shadows. We are the monsters in their nightmares. Copy that, Thompson drawled. Let's haunt some bastards. The drop ships descended. To the HFY, war was science. Calculated. Predictable. Force meets force until one breaks. But the humans didn't play fair. When the first wave landed, they found the colony abandoned until a series of remote-controlled diggers exploded beneath them, launching clouds of corrosive mining dust mixed with nanoshrapnel. Soldiers screamed as their armor turned brittle, their sensors blinded. Then came the noise. Sonic weapons cobbled from terraforming equipment pumped subharmonic pulses through the battlefield. The HFY, bred for perfect coordination, stumbled, disoriented. Their hivelinks jammed. And that's when the Rangers struck. Out of dust and ruin came the Red Fog. Mara's team wore stealth coatings scavenged from research labs. They struck with laser-edged blades, repurposed surgical lasers, and thermal charges stolen from refineries. They didn't fight to hold territory. They fought to break mines. And it worked. Admiral Ghalix watched his forces falter. It was unacceptable. Unthinkable. He activated the orbital neural bombardment array. This ends now. He targeted the primary colony center and fired. A moment later, his flagship's targeting systems went dark. He barked orders, reboot, diagnostics, manual override. Nothing. Then the communications lit up. You fire on civilians, we fire back. A new signal appeared coming from Hope. Impossible. Hope was under construction. A skeleton of a station. And yet, it fired. A beam of superheated plasma carved through one of the HFY cruisers like a knife through butter. The station should have overloaded. It didn't. What Ghalix didn't know was that hope had been finished by necessity. Mara had ordered every hand to help: engineers, scientists, janitors. They had no proper weapons, so they made them. Fusion coils became railgun capacitors. Atmosphere processors became chemical warheads. And the AI, Astra, originally built for mineral scanning, had rewritten itself for combat simulations. Hope wasn't a station. It was a knife made from desperation, tempered in defiance. The HFY retaliated with fury. They bombarded the surface, turning forests to ash, mountains to slag. But Mara and her team burrowed deep, fighting in the tunnels, sewers, ruins. Their tactics shifted. They didn't just kill. They humiliated. Hijacked dropships, flew suicide runs into command posts. Propaganda holograms hacked to play Terran music, songs about rebellion, hope, rage broadcast across enemy camps. The HFY began to doubt. Their discipline cracked. They started shooting at shadows, at one another. Even their commanders whispered it now. The Red Fog watches. The final stand came at Ember Plateau. Mara's team was down to 4. Thompson was wounded, dragging a plasma pack twice his size. The engineers were dead. Astra was glitching. The enemy had finally cornered them. But Mara stood tall. She linked her suit to the still-functioning core of hope, miles above. Let's show them what humans do when we're out of time. Astra's voice flickered. Calculated probability of success, 0.03%. Good odds, Mara said. She triggered the overload. The plateau vanished in a flash of white-blue fire. Days later, when the HFY flagship entered low orbit to confirm the kill, it received a transmission. Visual only. A lone human. Burned. Bleeding. Mara Keller, dragging herself from the rubble. She looked into the camera, spat blood, and raised a middle finger. We're not dead. We don't die easy. Tell your empire, Scorvax stands. Then the signal cut. The HFY fleet retreated. Scorvax had broken them, not with firepower, but with sheer, incomprehensible will. Years later, in the HFY academies, they study Scorvax Prime. They do not call it a battle. They call it a phenomenon. A force of nature. They do not understand it, but they fear it. And every new commander is taught this phrase. When you see the red fog, run. Because when the humans stand, they do not stand alone. They stand with every impossible victory burned into their blood. They stand, laughing in the face of extinction. They stand with hope made weapon. And that is something even empires fear. Want a part 2?